Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics. Today we are rigging another gut bait. This time we are looking at how to rig and fish chook gut. Alright, chicken gut or chook gut is readily available from your local tackle stores. Comes in a frozen pack, ready to go, so it's nice and easy to grab a packet of chook gut and off you go. So gut baits, some people are a bit scared of gut baits, they're a bit gross and messy and that sort of thing, so I keep a little dish of water with me and a rag when we're bait fishing, so it's easy to keep everything nice and clean as we go. Chicken gut or chook gut, I like gut baits, mullet gut, chook gut, those sorts of things, because they are deadly. They're effective. A lot of fish will just, cruise around and pick up a gut bait. So deadly on bream, but you'll also catch a bunch of other different species, flathead, flounder, all sorts of things, silver trevally, all different estuary and river species will eat our chicken gut. So we've got our knife here, we'll cut our packet open, and I'm going to put our bait into the dish here, as I always do. I don't like taking these packets out there, and when you're out and about, I think it's our duty as fishers, to look after the environment that we're fishing in. So if you do see these bags or any other rubbish, give the area a bit of a clean up. So I'm going to pour the gut bait. Oh, look at that, that looks beautiful. Pour that gut bait into the dish here, and then we can get rid of our packet in the bin or into the red cycle or wherever it needs to go. So we'll sort our packet out, and then have a look at this. That is beautiful. Have a look at that chicken gut. So looks a bit gross, but it's really, really effective bait. And you'll see it'll separate into strands. So there I've got a strand of chicken gut. So basically with our chicken gut, it's like baiting our mullet gut. It's just like the soft section of the mullet gut. So basically we want to fill our hook up with a nice ball of gut. So I'll break off a section. Let's go, say, I'll go 6 inches because I've got quite a decent hook here, but 4 inches of gut or something like that, just enough to fill your hook. You'll get a feel for it. When I fish those soft gut baits, I like to fish a Baitholder hook. So I'll fish a Baitholder or a long Baitholder, depending on the target species, but either is fine for your bream and general estuary stuff. So the Baitholder or the bait keeper hook has those little barbs on the back to help hold those soft baits in place. So when we're rigging our chook gut, we just start by pinning a section at the end of the chook gut, same as we did with our soft mullet gut, and we're just going to keep feeding that chook gut onto the hook in sections. So we'll go step to the next bit, feed it on, step to the next bit, feed it on. I might have got a little bit carried away with my length of stuff there, so 4 inches is probably fine. I'm going to put a bit more on there, a bit more on the end there. Oh no, I'll fit this whole lot in here. We'll make a nice big bait for a big bream. So we just keep pinning and pushing it up the shank, pin it on the point, push it up the shank until we get to the end. And once we're at the end of that gut bait, we just want to hook that or any little daggy bits up and over the hook there again. And those little bait holders are doing their job. The little bait holders are holding some bait up around there, making it a nice big gut bait. You can see there, fish won't see our hook, but there's our hook point out there ready to pin them. Could take that little bit and tuck it over a bit more. I just don't like the daggy bits hanging off the bottom. If you've got daggy bits hanging too far down, the fish are just going to come along and pick those daggy bits off. So we just want to tuck up any loose bits on there. The same as when you bring that bait back in. If you wind that bait back in and check it and you've still got a fair bit of bait there, you can just check for loose bits hanging off the end and just tuck those loose bits onto the hook point again. And there's a beautiful chook gut bait ready to get out there and catch us a big bream, or who knows what else might pick up that gut bait out there while we're fishing. So we've got our dish of chook gut here. We've got our bait holder hook for holding that on there. I've got it on a running sinker rig here, but we'll talk more about rigs when we're out there fishing. Let's go and see if we can get ourselves a nice big bream or some other species on our chook gut bait. All right, we've got our tub of chicken gut, and unfortunately we've also got a pretty windy morning this morning to chase a fish. We're going to persist anyway with the wind. We won't spend too much time out here, but we'll see if we can get you a fish on that chicken gut bait. So basically I've walked down to an area here, and the area that I'm targeting is the mouth of a gutter, the mouth of a drain. So these are fantastic spots to bait fish, because as the tide drops, all the water on this flat will run out this drain. So it's like a funnel, funneling the bait out to the fish that are waiting there feeding. So I call those drains bait funnels, and it's definitely worth having a fish around the mouths of those drains. We're geared up the same as we were with our mullet gut bait. So we're fishing chicken gut today. So we want that nice soft tip rod to let the fish take that bait without feeling the resistance. So we've got Okuma Barbarian 9-footers, 2 of those. They're geared up with 45 jaws. So I don't need the line capacity necessarily of a larger reel, but stepping up from the 30 to the 45 gives you that balanced combo. So we've got a longer rod, so a bit bigger reel helps to balance that combo. So our jaw 45 on each rod is spooled with 10-pound Platypus Pulse Mono, and we've got a 10-pound hard Armour leader there. Rig wise, we are rigged with a running sinker rig, so nice simple rig. If you're fishing snaggy areas, you might do away with this swivel and just run your sinker straight down to the hook. Otherwise you might run a paternoster style rig so that your sinker's on the bottom and your hooks are up off the bottom. I've simply got a 2-ball sinker on one rod and a 3-ball sinker on the other. The 3-ball I'm going to throw out in the channel further. The 2-ball I'm going to fish closer in and hang on to the rod. I've got a small swivel rated to the line breaking strain that I'm fishing, and I've got a Baitholder or bait keeper style of hook with those little barbs on the back, perfect for our gut baits. One trick that Gary Brown taught me, good mate of mine, when I was walking here, because I walked here this morning to this drain, the sinker on my rod is swinging around like this and bouncing and banging into the rod. So that can be annoying and also damage your rod. So you don't really want that sinker banging into your rod. So a quick tip that Gary Brown taught me, I'm actually going to let some line out. Let a bit of line out there. And I'm going to bring this hook down around the reel. So there I am going around, you can see there, around the stem of the reel. And I bring that hook back up and I hook it on to that first guide frame. Not onto the guide itself, onto the frame of the guide. And then I just wind that line up. And what you'll see there, that sinker can now slide right down against my reel. So rather than having that sinker up here banging around on the rod and bouncing the rod tip as I'm walking along, I simply just move my hook to the guide frame, but around the stem of the reel, and that sinker can then just slide down and sit against the reel, or sit down lower here if you've got a really long trace. Just a quick little tip to save your rod and yeah, save you a bit of annoyance while you're trekking to your spot. So let's get a couple of baits in the water, see if we can get ourselves a brimbo. That didn't take too long. We're already getting a bite on this rod here. That was the one we left in the rod holder. It's getting a little more serious on there now. It still doesn't feel like a real big fish. So I'm watching that rod tip for the bites, and I'm also feeling the bites through the line. Very windy today, unfortunately, so makes it a bit tougher for fishing. We've got that bow in the line. So if you were using a bait like a prawn or something like that, it'd be pretty tough fishing, because with that bow in your line, you wouldn't feel your bites real well and your bait would be gone. Whereas with the gut baits, being a hardier bait, in the wind we've got a bit more time. Yep, there we go. Got that bend. We've got that pull down of the rod, and we've got the hook up. I feel like the one on the left might be our winner, but you never know. Yep, there we go. Got that bend. We got that pull down of the rod, and we got the hook up. Beautiful. That thing feels fairly solid as well. Oh no, hopefully we're not catching stingrays. We don't want to catch stingrays. No, it feels fishy. You can hear that wind whistling through the line. She's definitely a breezy day today. Doesn't stop the fish biting. Sometimes what it does is it creates cover for the fish to hide under. You know, it makes the surface ripply, and that makes it easier for the fish to hide and sneak in a bit closer. So it looks like a good bream on the chook gut. Nice fish. There we go, that's what we were after. Hard to beat those gut baits and flesh baits for bream. That is a really nice, fat, healthy bream, good solid fish on that chook gut bait. So chicken gut, definitely an effective bait. We've had a lot of bites already, just had a few baits out and had a stack of bites. So we'll get this guy back in the water so that you can come and catch it. But that's a real nice bream, good handful of bream on the chicken gut. You'll sometimes just get tap, 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 tap. Then you get more of a runner bites. He's getting a bit more serious when you get that runner bites, and then you'll get the big down, hopefully. At some point you've got to make a call too. Is he just eating my bait off, and do I need to have a crack at him, or is he going to take it down? Got a good bit of bait on here, so we'll see if he takes it down. No good. Sometimes what you can do is you can slowly drag it away from them a little bit and then let it sit, or you can flick your bail arm over and let out a bit of line, and sometimes that'll get them to take it more aggressively as well. Okay, with our better bites coming on a heavier sinker, cast further out into the channel there, would make sense that I change this other rod over that's got the 2-ball on. So I've got a 3-ball on the other rod and I'm getting a bunch of bites on it. So I'm going to switch this one up, but I'm going to change it to a 4-ball, a little bit heavier again, and I'm going to turf it out into the mouth of the gutter there and see if I can find myself another nice bream. How's that one? I was just baiting up this rod and the other rod just went off in the rod holder. That was cool. So that's the other thing that can happen. You can be baiting up the other rod and all you hear is zzz, 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 and that's a fish taking your other rod. So just remember not to set your drag super heavy on the rod that's in the rod holder, because you do want the fish to be able to take line rather than pull your rod into the water, that's for sure. What do we got here? Another brembo. He's another nice fish. Look at that guy. That is an absolute cracker. There you go, that's a nice bream. Running that Baitholder hook. We've pinned him right in the corner of the jaw on that chook gut bait. So chicken gut, another great bream bait, but also a great bait for other species as well. You know, you'll pick up flathead, you'll pick up flounder, you'll pick up trevally, all sorts of things will pick up a piece of chicken gut. So yeah, that's a pretty nice bream. We might call it at that. Make sure for more info on bait fishing and also lure fishing as well, check out tackletactics.com.au. You'll find loads of rigs, loads of knots and loads of articles to help you get hooked up, fish on. All right, an absolute cracker for you guys. Going back. There he goes. Come and get him. All right, just one more cast got me. I've got 2 fresh baits out. I couldn't resist throwing out 2 more fresh baits before we call it. I didn't even get the second one in the water when we got this fish on. I was just watching that other rod a little bit out of the corner of my eye, and I saw a couple of taps. Our first 8 or 10 baits went for a couple of bream, and then I threw those, you know, I always love one more cast. So we threw one more cast, 1 bait on each rod, and scored ourselves another fish. Oh, this one's a bit fiery. There you go, not a monster, but another nice bream. That one's inhaled the bait, so I'll have to get that hook out of him. or I can leave it in him if it's down deep and just let it rust out. But there you go. Quick little session, chicken gut, 3 bream, buckle up, good times. That second bait we put out also got eaten in the end. So just one more cast turned into just 2 more casts, and both of those 2 baits got eaten. So pretty stoked with a quick session on the chicken gut. It is great bait. Great bait for kids as well, because it's pretty hardy sort of bait, so stays on well. There we go, bream number 4 to finish with. That is it, that is it. I threw that one out anyway because I'd already baited it up, and I just decided to pack up while that bait was out there. There you go, a few more bites, another downer, and another nice bream. Fish on.